All right, good morning. So this is so I'm starting out the year broadcasting. I think it's the first live I've done this year. So we're going to call this Practical Wealth TV, and I had been meaning to do this. And what it is, it's a really a tribute to Walter Williams. Let me see if I'm sharing my screen. I don't think I am. And nope, I'm not. And what I want to do, here we go. So this is I've been thinking about how to do this, and it's really an article found on fee.org. So one of the things that I highly recommend to our clients is you have to understand how the country works, how the system is organized. It's hard to win a game when you don't know the rules. And so I discovered Dr. Williams, I don't know, probably about 10 years ago. And as I read, if you follow me, I teach infinite banking, and as I worked through the bibliography of the book, I discovered things like The Law by Friedrich Bastiat, and Walter Williams wrote the foreword from that. He has Up From the Projects. Because he was one of the things that was interesting to me. He was a Philadelphia native. He graduated from Ben Franklin High School in the early 50s. So for those of you basketball people out there, I would put him, he serves about 6'5". So, and apparently was a pretty good ball player. And then he went into the Army, but that would put him around the time of Sonny Hill, John Chaney, Wilt. Well, he would have been a couple years older than Wilt, but Wilt Chamberlain. He was a little bit older than my uncle, who was all public. He went to Ben Franklin, and my dad played for both Ben Franklin High School. They graduated in 57, I believe. So I was really interested I was trying to get him on the show. I didn't know how to get in touch with him. I wanted to get him on the Practical Wealth show because I'm a big admirer of him. And as I instructed me on thinking about liberty, and he just didn't get his due. So I'm really pissed off about that. So he passed away last month. And so I wanted to get, because one of the things I read his book, he was living in the 40s. He was living like 60. These are for Philly people. You don't recognize this, but like off of Walnut Street, which is still mostly Irish Catholic. For a lot of those folks moved out in Delaware County, but it was considered I won't say a fluid, but a solid middle class, really nice neighborhood. And he moved in that. And then one of the things when I read what he was describing, I know that area because my aunts live up there. Now, by the 70s, it was kind of tore up, and their house was kind of messed up. But when I thought about the history of our family, my grandfather came up in the 20s from Georgia, and then he subsequently brought his sisters up, and they were living up there. And so they were living up there when it was, mostly white and a mostly still, I would call, a solid middle class neighborhood. And, I have a lot of, I have a, you don't know, I have a kind of an entrepreneurial background, whereas my grandfather, in the 50s had a sewing factory, had 15, 16 people working for him. He had a contract. My father was self-employed. So I always tell people I never got that go get a good job talk. So, so that's just knowing where I come from. So, I'm quite the libertarian, as you'll find out if you check out the show. But because my basic theme is that, look, stop for looking for other people to solve your problems. And so one of the things is a quote here. So I'm going to kind of quote. I'm not going to go through all of it right now, but I would suggest you go to fee.org and check it out for yourself. I'll see if I can put a link to it in the notes. And so this will probably go out as a podcast. So right as I do this, there's a video up. And so in the caption of Walter Williams, a picture of him, and as you know, I'm very pro-capitalist. He says, prior to capitalism, the way people amassed great wealth was by looting, plundering, and enslaving their fellow man. And so capitalism made it possible to become wealthy by serving your fellow man. So F.A. Hayek says capitalism is an ever-expanding system of cooperation among strangers. You won a Nobel Prize for that. And so most people see it as, big business is trying to take over and tell us what to do and all that kind of stuff. That is not capitalism, guys. That is corporatism. That is mercantilism, okay, which is what the country broke away from England to do that. Now, you notice they did get rich by enslaving their fellow man, but no, not but. There's no but the right. The thing is, the system works. One of the things that I always challenge people to think of, there's nothing when Curtis wakes up in the morning and to the time I go to bed, there is nothing that being Black keeps me from being able to do. So I don't let people get away with this, institutional racism thing. Sure, there is. Listen, I've been driving while I've been pulled. I was a teenager when Rizzo was mayor, so I know all about driving while Black or being pulled over for fitting the description of anybody. But that's never kept me from winning. So I don't let our clients, friends, people I coach. I don't let you get away with that. All right, you gotta win. You got a responsibility to win. So, what I want to do is I'm going to share about. This is the article. It's titled the 30 best Walter Williams quotes. I'm not going to go through all of it. I want you to read it. I may go through maybe one a day now as I think about it, as I look at it, because some of the stuff is gold. But, one of the things is I'm going to start out with this one. So in the article, he says that, so his background was, he was went to UCLA. One of the things he says is that he was glad he went to school before affirmative action, before it was fashionable for white people to like Black people. So he made it. He didn't give any special privileges because he was Black, but they were good teachers that were honest with him. And if you weren't good enough, they told you that. And rather than you've got a disadvantaged background, so we got to give you a little bit of edge. Only thing you do is make people weak. I just tell my kids, my daughter. I didn't always think she was treated fairly at her school, but I said, you know what? If it's a tie, you're going to lose. So, don't make it a tie. You need to be better. You need to work harder. You need to. And so that is, I don't let them get away with that stuff. You just got to be better. And so you have to get better. Jim Rohn says, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Okay. So let's hit a few of these. And so this is on property rights and justice. Okay. So people have a pastor in my church like a social justice warrior, right? And so and I love this because I agree with this wholeheartedly. Okay. Here is my definition of social justice. I keep what I earn and you keep what you earn. Right? Do you disagree? You disagree? Well, how much of what I earn belongs to you and why? Think about that. So I'm not going to do that, because I want you to think about that, discuss it. You can hit me back and discuss it. I have no problem with that. Because, one of the things is I don't want to just out here spouting, I propagate my ideas on you. But there's one of the things that disappoints me that he got such little fanfare and especially outside of the libertarian world, because if you have a kind of right thinking person, people label you as an Uncle Tom. This was a great man. You don't even know your history, folks. And or the history of the country and, the rules. See, again, it's hard to win a game. You don't know the rules. So we've got to learn the rules of that. And if people are giving you something, that's a problem with that. It's why you have to look at the unintended consequences of a lot of the actions, and people don't understand to do that. And so tell me why you deserve part of my earnings. So here's another one. If one person has a right to something he did not earn, it requires another person not to have the right of something he did earn. Think about that. All right. Nothing in our Constitution suggests that the government is a grantor of rights. Instead, government is a protector of rights. Think about that. Okay. And think about what's going on, because you think your rights come from, and they think their rights come from the government. Okay. the government job. So so think what's going on with as we record this. This is going on with COVID, and these governors taking, because there's a saying in politics: never let a good crisis go to waste. So it's what that concerns me. Let me go back and just have it on me. And so what happens is, your job is not to keep me safe. Your job is to protect my rights, my liberty. That's the job. Okay. And, but they really feel like you're not smart enough and we need to tell you what to do. Is that true? And so you've been bred to not critically think about whatever or do research. You just listen to sound bites and listen to what people tell you what's going on and what you should do from that. See, Curtis don't do that. And so the government has no resource. Oh, the government should do something. Government should give us reparations, blah, blah, blah. Well, the government has no resources of its own. Government spending is no less than confiscations of one person's property to give it to another to whom it does not belong. Okay. Now, we're under Caesar with the seizures. I am not saying, I'm not one of those, oh, well, the tax system is illegal. You need to pay your system. But if you understand the system, you won't pay taxes. Okay. If you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, see, our tax system is an incentive program. And so if you will partner and, what does the government want done? They need jobs. They need housing, they need energy, and they need food. So our tax system has put, carrots to get you to put your money to do certain things. So if you'll do those, you will seriously mitigate your taxes. So people get upset about, oh, so-and-so is not paying their fair share. What is the hell does that mean? Okay. Their fair share. I hate that. That's code word for socialists. All right. So I'm sorry, I'm going to step with some toes. And, but what happens is just, understand the game and play the game. And, you will begin to prosper if you stop not fighting the system, but working with ignorance, working with the lack of understanding what's going on. And you're like Don Quixote chasing windmills. And so think about this. This is on social justice. No matter how worthy the cause, it's robbery, theft, and injustice to confiscate property of one person and give it to another to whom it does not belong. And so it doesn't. So Walter Williams says, listen, if God says thou shalt not steal. It doesn't say thou shalt not steal if you have a majority vote in Congress. So that theft is theft. All right. And so the law, Friedrich Bastiat from France. And this book was written in the 1860s. If you read it, it's written just like it was written last summer. I mean, it's incredible. Same thing with economics in one lesson. It was written in the 40s. So I challenge people to think, if you know what's going on, you'll know what to do. I had a mentor tell me. And people talk about democracy. People, we want to keep the world safe for democracy. We don't have a democracy, guys. We have a republic. All right. And so look up the difference between that. I'm not going to go into that right here, but democracy is a little more than mob rule. Why liberty refers to the sovereignty of the individual, your individual rights, your individual freedoms. And I've never in my lifetime seen such a greater attack on the sovereignty of the individual. And the government's job is to protect my liberty. That's the real job of government. I don't even think they know what it is, but you need to know what it is, because they teach that out of school. You listen to school, you pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it belongs. Okay. One nation under God, individual, and liberty and justice for all. That's what you want. So we haven't had liberty and justice for all, but that ideal is worthy. Okay. And in fact, let me do one more. Okay. And let me see. Let's talk about this one. Let me add this one to my little banner here. Create another banner. Here we go. So one of the things we talk about, one of the things I share, I think it's the last one we'll talk about today, is sharing what capitalism, I say it's an ever expanding system of cooperation among stranger. And one of the things that we teach in our mastermind is that money follows value. And so you have to, if you want to, so people talk about, oh, I want to raise minimum wage. One of the things when I do my workshops for kids, it's like, listen, you don't need minimum wage. Minimum wage is, and challenge me on this, because it's like gravity. It's just not like an opinion. Minimum wage cause is discriminatory, and it actually causes higher unemployment. So that's gravity. That's not even an opinion. Because one time I did this, I said this on Facebook, and somebody says, "Don't you care about poor people?" Of course I care about poor people, but they have nothing to do with each other. And you can't legislate success. And so money follows value. Value meaning that you have to, and one of the things is that, so your income is a direct proportion to the value that you bring to the marketplace. And so what I'll ask the kids is, listen, so can you make yourself more valuable? So in the class I'm teaching, it's some young guys that are in a trades program. So all of them, they're going to graduate. I don't know if it's the right word, but they're going to pass their initial test to be an apprentice, to be a carpenter's apprentice, to be a plumber, to be whatever. So all of them will go into the trades union and start out at $19.30 an hour. So that's like, what is that, $42,000, $44,000 a year with no student loan debt. And I'm beating into their head that they're going to save 25% of their income because the overhead is so low. And keep a focus on their plan. It doesn't matter what you do for a living, it's what your money does. And so I've got them focused on, that, and reading a book a month on money, and being interesting, and learning how to win friends and influence people, and understand that people like you. So if you go to a union hall and you're liked and you do good work and you got your tools, you're dressed right, you're going to get called up. Okay. If you're unemployed, you need to have capital. Number one problem, the fundamental problem, and that we try to solve with Practical Wealth, is the number one problem you have, that people have, I find, in 35 years, is the lack of, not access to capital, lack of capital on the individual level. Okay. And so if you can do that, you can be a sovereign man. So now, how do you get capital? How do you get money? Money is a result of doing something. Okay. And so Walter Williams says, you've got to please your fellow man. Okay. You've got to serve, right? The greater claim, the better I serve my fellow man, produce goods and services that they like, the better my claim on the goods of my fellow man. That's the morality of the market. See, if you've got a bad product, if you're not, if you're dishonest, they're going to find you. The market will find you out, let alone the government. People are smart. Word gets around fast. I don't need somebody to take care of me. You need to learn how to critically think, and then you can kind of figure it out for yourself. So what happens is that's the key. So are you pleasing your fellow man? Are you serving your fellow man? Are you providing goods or services that they like? Are you solving problems? Are you creating value in the marketplace? See, so if you don't create value in the marketplace, you're not going to make any money. And so you don't deserve to make any money. So that's the thing, so like, you don't deserve anything. You deserve the air you breathe. Don't tell me about what you deserve and what you're entitled to. I can't stand that language. And so that keeps you stuck. That's scarcity thinking. They're thinking that if somebody else is successful, they must be successful, that because why you're not successful because they're successful. That is the scarcity thinking that's being propagated in politics. And it's just more class warfare, the rich against the poor. You can be rich. A great book, Success Secret, the Wealth Choice by Dennis Kimbro, Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. Okay. See, because what people want to study poverty, the poverty, listen, poverty is like gravity. And so it's like aerodynamics, right? So people will go, whoa, we had a plane crash, and they studied a plane crash. But why did the plane crash? Gravity. Okay. Planes are in a constant state of falling. What is keeping them in the air is the engineering or the science of aerodynamics, right? Poverty is the natural state. So instead of studying poverty, you need to study how people get out of poverty. Okay. But that's like work. And so it's easier for institutions to create a victim and blame other people than saying, hey, I need to get my shit together. And so here's the thing, and this is if you look at the politicians, our current president, look how much money he gives of his personal money. So he's willing to give away other people's money. I remember when somebody did this study. This is probably this is when President Obama was running against Romney, right? And so I think they were all candidates. So out of personal giving, President Obama gave maybe 10, 11% of his money to charity. Romney gave like 15 to 20% of his money to charity. He made more money than both of them. So, I mean, that's a significant amount of money. And that's because of his faith and he's a Mormon and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's or from Christianity giving. So he's strong in that. So he made a lot of money, gives a lot of money away. Okay. Biden then and still gives away to charity less than 1% of his money, but he's big on wealth redistribution. And so one of the things that Nelson Nash talked about, who loves Walter Williams, he's told me about Nelson Nash, author of Becoming Your Own Banker. And he's one that I think turned me on to him. The act of reaching into one's own pockets to help a fellow man is in need is praiseworthy and laudable. But reaching into someone else's pockets is despicable. And so that's liberty versus coercion. Think about that. So if I were, one of the examples he would give is he said, listen, if I was walking down the street and I saw, a homeless woman or family that was homeless and they were hungry, didn't have any money. And let's say I carried and I had a gun and I went out and I said, you know what? Okay. I walk up to a person and say, look, pull a gun out on them, give me your wallet, and they have $200, give me your money. And so I, at the point of a gun, took their $200 and I walked down the street and I gave it to that homeless family. Would I get thrown in jail? Absolutely. Well, was the intention good? Yes, it was. But it was still coercion. It was still theft. It's still against the law. So if I do it as an individual and it's wrong, why is it wrong if government does it? Because it's the same thing. Theft is theft. And so now these are the thoughts that, for Walter Williams. And I think that if you got to get into this stuff, but it's in just thinking for yourself. I think overall, because I love our country, but I think that if you don't understand what's going on and you give up the certain things that make the country great, black or white, then that's a problem. And it's hard to come back from that. And I don't think people are learning this stuff, so it's because a lot of you want to be in entrepreneurship. Well, you have to have certain thoughts, to because what happens is, this year I read Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, and it's one of the few stories I've seen where the business person is the hero, because usually the business person is the villain. They're evil, they're greedy, they're stealing, they're backbiting. And so that is what Hollywood thinks of the entrepreneur. And so entrepreneurs, the producers, are under attack. And, you need to fight back, and fight back, meaning that, spread your ideas, not feel bad. Don't feel bad about success. Is one of the main things that I try to get people across. Don't feel about success, about making money, because if you're making money and you're in business, that means you're creating a lot of value in the marketplace. So if you're in business, you're hearing me say, well, don't think of terms of, I want to make X amount of dollars. You want to think, all right, Your dollars are the result of pleasing your fellow man, right? And so if you want to think in terms, how many clients can I serve? How many customers can I serve? If, which is sales, I'm morphing into some business stuff, but what is sales? Sales is helping people make a future result that is good for them. So you got to ask yourself, is what your service that you're offering help people create a future result that is good for them? So I would argue if it doesn't, then that's a problem, because you're just selling crap to make money. Okay. And that's immoral. But if you've convinced yourself that what you do matters, or at least you're not hurting people, and then what you do with the money once it hits your account matters, then that's great. And if everybody did that, whether you work a job or not, once the money hits your personal economy, it's your responsibility to be a good steward of your money. Ain't nobody else's job to take care of you but you. So anyway, that's my 25-minute rant. I may go through this again, just some gold in this article. So I'll see if I can attach, as the podcast comes out on this, a link to this, because this is some powerful stuff. And hey, everybody go out there and have a great day. Also, you know what? Let me do this real quick. So I have so if you want to like kind of begin to think about this stuff, I have a report called The Velocity of Money. So there's something we teach called the velocity method versus the accumulation theory, which is what most of the financial world is trying to teach. And so if you will text P Wealth to 55444, I'd love to send that out to you. So text P Wealth, PWEALTH, P Wealth, short for practical wealth, P Wealth at 55444. I would love to send you this free report, and begin to and it's adapted from one of my favorite books by Robert Kiyosaki, Who Took My Money. And he talks about the velocity formula. And so most of what you all have been taught about money, I'm a financial podcast after all, is not only is it wrong, it's, especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's outright dangerous to your financial health. So you need to kind of figure that out. You know, somebody once said to me, a changed viewpoint can change your life. And I'm in the viewpoint changing business. Okay. But you have to change your own viewpoint, not my job. My job is just to give you some education so that you can think, so that you can make new choices. So anyway, y'all have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.